I want to put a reality check on some of that fear and put some processes in place to keep us safe, not only our geographic areas, but also the mindset too. And real quickly, I want to talk about the difference between risk versus threat. Whenever you're making any type of plan or doing any type of planning for safety, you want to weigh risk versus threat. And it's crazy because we use these words all day, every day, but no one really thinks about risk versus threat. And what do I mean by that? Let's say 29 Palms, California. It's a big desert area. It's a big marine training area. It's nothing but desert for miles and miles and miles. In 29 Palms, they don't get hurricanes. Never happened, never in the history of that geographic location has that ever happened. But think about it. Let's just play a game. If we were in 29 Palms, it's never had a hurricane ever. It's not even physically possible. How high is that threat of a hurricane? Is it a high threat or a low threat? The threat of the hurricane in 29 Palms is very low. It's never happened in the history, if not non-existent. Not very high on the threat scale. No big deal, right? What do we risk if a hurricane hits in 29 Palms? Oh, okay, that's a different story. If one does hit, you risk all this infrastructure and lives and waterways and this, that, and the other thing because the threat's not very high and it's never been high. Very high risk, but low threat. If it's like non-existent threat, do I really need to be worried about? Yeah, I mean, if this happened, it'd be really bad, but we're so far away from that scale that we don't need to worry about it. Or vice versa. Do you have a high threat of something happening and nobody's looking at the risk? That's one of the priorities on there. Nobody's looking at, or maybe your risk priorities are not as bad as you think they're going to be. So that's one part about that mindset. Always weighing risk versus threat. Could something happen to me? Yes, of course it could. You know, frogs could grow wings. They'd bump their butts when they, hop away or whatever, however the heck you say that. But again, we have to do with the resources we have available, and you don't want to get all super paranoid. So what I need you to do before I end this little video right here with that mindset, what I want to do is give you a reality check before we get in the neighborhood section, is I want you to take out a piece of paper. Don't use any resources, just what's on your mind and what's in front of you right now. I want you to write down the 3 top fears you have in your life right now. The 3 fears that are keeping you up when it comes to violence or crime or something happening to you or your family. Or make a big list if you have to, make 10 of them if you have to, but once you're done writing 10, 15 things down that you're kind of afraid of happening, I want you to whittle it down and give me the top 3 most kind of violent crimes that you're worried about. Write those down and then we're going to figure those out. You'll probably learn something about what you have in your head right now, but I'm going to take it a step further in this next section. But right now, I want you to write that down. We're going to stop here and we'll continue this in the next section. See you on the other side. All right, now that we got those 3 top priority kind of crime, violent things that are keeping you up at night and that you're afraid of, I'm going to go show you another tool. There's a bunch of URLs you can use, and I'll drop a few of them in here. There's UA Maps, Live Maps. I'm using crimemapping.com right now. Whatever the mapping function is, there's a ton of them out there that have live crime functions and statistics for your neighborhood, your area, whatever you want to look up. So we're going to utilize this to help us out on our journey. So we've written down the 3 things that are keeping us up at night. And now we're just going to take a trip on down to Los Angeles, California. I'm going to pick on Los Angeles because it's about an hour away from me. I hate the traffic there. And come on, honestly, it's easy to pick on LA, all right? So here's a crime map. This is a live UA map from their statistics. And if you click on these and mess around with them for a while, you can go down a big, deep rabbit hole because every one of these has a clickable function. Let's see, we got a mask here. It looks like the Hamburglar. It's got an incident report number, a little description, where it happened, whatnot, when it happened. So great little resource of information. But again, we got to be analytical. We're not trying to take all this information in at one. When I'd ever have to deal with something big or some type of big mission, I used to tell my Marines, hey, how do we eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time or little bites at a time. So let's make sense of all this craziness over in the charts area. And again, there's a reason I had you write down those 3 fears, is because now we're going to take your neighborhood and you're going to put it in your crimemapping.com. And I want you to take it and put those against those 3 fears that are keeping you up at night. You're afraid of certain things happening to you. I want you to look and what do the statistics in your area tell you is actually happening. Specifically, I know we want to look at, larceny or vehicle break-ins and robberies. Those are not good things, but I want to be here to specifically look for violent crime. So things like arson, assault, burglary, homicide, home invasion, those are all some things that I want to take a look at. And just from here, we obviously got some red. Those are for assault. Red means you're dead, never a good color. And then the orange one's a little worrisome, seeing as that's arson and whatnot. So that's not a good thing. So this will give you a reality check based off, hey, am I really afraid of things that I have a lot of risk of in my area? Or am I way off base? I've been looking over here when in reality in my area, this is what the problem is. Crimemapping.com, live UA maps, people don't pay me. These are great tools to be able to tell you what is happening in your area based on crime and statistics. And now you can start forming an idea, okay, I was worried about that, or maybe you were right. Maybe all those three fears are the three top things. It's like, okay, now you have a plan in your head where you can start focusing your attention instead of looking at, threats we always worry about. We're always looking for the bad guy with the trench coat, hold on to the detonator. We're never going to see that person. But if we can use technology and information, we can break these things down and we can build a defense in depth around your neighborhood, okay? Defense in depth. You shouldn't have just one wall, one moat around your castle, right? You want 3 or 4 or 5 to disrupt and slow down those things in case they didn't get through. So again, go to crimemapping.com and put those against each other. Your 3 fears that you think are happening, and what are the 3 fears that are happening. And then we could start unraveling the indicators and what to look for on that.